Today's cocktail is called the Wray's Nephew, and I'm about to like explode that whole name. We might even have to just completely rename this cocktail because I couldn't find Wray and Nephew, Overproof Jamaican Rum, and this video is like, this cocktail is kind of centered around Wray and Nephew rum. And you know, honestly, this actually brings me to a very timely question that I get asked a lot about subbing out rums. And the reality is that there's such a variety in rum and the way that it's made. It's probably one of the most, if not the most versatile spirits in the world. I think it's probably the most versatile spirits in the world, next to or maybe equal to mezcal. Agave distillates have a lot of variety in them as well. And so it's really hard to sub rums, especially rums that are, you know, aged, because they're made out of different raw materials. Like for instance, a rum that is made out of fresh cane juice is not equal to a rum that's made out of molasses. They just have different flavors. And then some rum companies, a lot of rum companies, although they're maybe a dying breed, or this is, you know, starting to be less so, it's like they add sugar in, and then sometimes caramel coloring into their you know, rums. Now the caramel coloring is, you know, just for, you know, kind of consistency and look, but the sugar adds viscosity, it adds sweetness to the final product. And so they become unequal in that way. And so it's very hard to sub. Today I actually did have to sub, but there is a contingent of Jamaican unaged rums that are high proof to choose from. And although the end product is going to be slightly different, because the rums are in the same category, they are interchangeable. And so there is a way to do that. You have to know a little bit more about rum to be able to do that. I wish I had just a chart that said like, okay, Cuban style rums. But like, for instance, there are a few different Cuban style rums, Havana Club and Bacardi. Now, Havana Club and Bacardi are interchangeable-ish, although Havana Club does add sugar, Bacardi does not. What were you gonna say, Marius?
The Smuggler's Cove book, doesn't that have some sort of...
They have a coating, but the thing about rum coating is that rum coating is very difficult because they're so different, and so they do probably the best system I've seen. We did a video on the Gargano system as well, which is a system that people use. It's kind of a little complicated. So the Smuggler's Cove does something like the Gargano system, where they talk about like aged rums, you know, like pot still rums versus column still rums, because those are going to be very different. Pot still rums, you know, distill to a lower proof, but they also get rid of a lot less congeners and different flavor esters and things and different flavoring elements in the rum, and so therefore you have more flavorful rum as opposed to a column still, which distills and redistills, and then it gives you a much higher proof and cleaner, kind of more vodka-like product. And then there are those rums like Bacardi, which are like, you know, just because it's white rum doesn't mean that it's not aged, because like Bacardi, they'll take their rum, they put it in barrels, they age it for 2 years, and then they put it through a charcoal filter to strip the color, and they strip a bit of the flavor as well in that way. And so therefore they have this like white rum that is aged, you know? So it's very difficult. You really have to do a little bit of research in there. The Smuggler's Cove book does do a very good job of breaking down rums. Even when I was looking through those lists, like let's just say like, you know, lightly aged column still or lightly aged pot still, you run into rums that might work in the cocktail, but they're gonna still be a different cocktail. You know what I'm saying? It's just, they're just not as interchangeable as other spirits, you know? Just like mezcals. Like if you have like mezcals made from different style, like different types of agave, they're not all gonna be a little citrusy and a little smoky. They're not gonna be interchangeable. You know, you really have to kind of understand that. And I get it that the public doesn't want to do the homework, and that like, that's why people like me have a job, is because we decide to do the homework for you guys and make these videos. So just be careful when you're subbing, but this Rum Fire is a good sub for the Wray and Nephew, and it's actually distilled to 63% alcohol. It's actually comparable proof, maybe a little bit higher, just a tad by a couple of percentage higher than Wray and Nephew, or quite the same. I think Wray and Nephew is like 114 or 116 or something, and this is, you know, somewhere around there. You know. The other thing I want to talk about before we get into the cocktail, just pay attention to the recipe that I put forward today, because the recipe is a very, very specific like template for a tiki or / tropical cocktail recipe. And if you notice, like other Instagram bartenders, cocktail makers, or even ones on YouTube, you will notice that when they make you know, like a drink that is their own creation, that is a tropical cocktail, they usually use this template because it's basically a daiquiri template that has the addition of a juice, and then it has been reworked in the specs to kind of balance out the sweet and the tart. But you'll notice that like an entire collection of cocktails are based on this one recipe. And I guarantee now that I said that to you, next time you go to a bar or next time you see like an Instagram video on some tropical drink or a daiquiri style drink or whatever, you're gonna notice that this is true. But it's also a really ingenious way of making cocktails. If you're kind of new to making cocktails, you don't quite know what you're doing yet, following templates, which all cocktails are based on, is exactly what you should be doing to make your own drinks. And if you follow those templates, you have an 80% success rate probably in your cocktails, because unless you really don't understand flavor or something. But if you just kind of, Mr. Potato Head it.
Look, I'm Picasso.
As the guys at Death and Company say, you kind of Mr. Potato Head your thing, just plug and play, put everything kind of in where it's supposed to be. You just play with the flavors. You will more than likely be successful, or more successful than you think you will be. All right. First of all, we have to talk about the name, because it's called Wray's Nephew, but Wray and Nephew isn't in this cocktail. It's Rum Fire. So should we call it like Fire's Nephew, or should we call it Wray's Fire? Maybe Wray's Fire. I don't know. I feel like it needs a new title because we've changed the rum out. Wray's Fire, AKA Wray's Nephew, was created by a bartender named Sean Horde at a place called the Teardrop Lounge in Portland, Oregon. Fruit comes first.
What is that, a lime?
It is a lime. You sound surprised. 90% of cocktails, like literally, if you tallied up all of the cocktails made with lemon and all of the cocktails made with lime, like if you could just tally that up somehow, I think lime would outweigh lemon by like a good shot. I think there's a lot more lime cocktails than lemon cocktails. So we're gonna do a 1/4 ounce of lime juice, and then we're gonna do a 1/4 ounce of 2-to-1 simple syrup. If you wanna do 1-to-1 simple syrup, just do 1/3 as opposed to a 1/4. And then we're gonna do 1 ounce of pineapple. I'm using fresh juiced pineapple, and I have a masticating juicer. If you don't have a masticating juicer though, you can just put this in a blender and then just put the pulp and everything into like a nut milk bag or whatever, or like a cheesecloth or cheesecloth bag, and then just like squeeze it out, and you can actually juice your pineapple pretty well. The masticating juicer though gets rid of all of the fiber in it, and so you got a nice clean, basically like cold pressed juice, which is really nice. So I highly recommend buying them, and you can get them for pretty cheap these days. It's not as expensive as it used to be, so I think it's just a good thing to have, especially if you make a smoothie or you like juices or anything.
We're using my old Breville, right?
It's not a Breville, it's like another, I used to have a really expensive one called like a Curing, which are like $1,300 juicers that was gifted to me. But then you have a knockoff of the Curing that we brought to the studio, because I didn't bring the Curing down here. That's the one that we use, that masticating juicer. Breville. It's really good. It's not Breville. Is it? Is it Breville? Oh, well then it's Breville. And how much did it cost? Remember? It's like $150.
No, it was way more than that.
2, 3?
Maybe, but it's also like 12 years ago or 15 years ago.
So yeah, so it's got to be cheaper now. All right,
but they'll last forever.
They will last forever. I mean, even if it's $300, it's money well spent, because if you think about it, if it's $300 and you keep it for 10 years, that's $30 a year.
Yeah.
Like $30 a year is pennies on, like it's nothing. It's like, most of us can afford, if you're watching cocktail videos on YouTube and actively making cocktails at home, then you can afford $30 a year.
It was, $300, and I bought it 2013. So I've had it like 12 years.
Right, so it's even less than $30 a year.
Yeah.
It's like $24 a year or something. It's definitely worth it. So 1 ounce of pineapple juice. We do a fresh squeeze. If you cannot get the fresh one, if you don't want to make the fresh one, you can go to Trader Joe's, and they have a pretty good canned 100% pineapple juice. So just FYI. All right, then we're gonna do 1 teaspoon, which is 5 ml of Fernet-Branca. 1/2 ounce of aged rum. I'm using the Smith & Cross. So, this is going to be a high octane cocktail, right? So 1/2 ounce of, and I wanted to keep it Jamaican rum as well. And then we're going to go 1 ounce of Wray. I almost said Wray and Nephew. 1 ounce of our Rum Fire here.
But Wray and Nephew, if you want to do it correctly.
Yes, Wray and Nephew. If you have Wray, I would have done it with Wray and Nephew. We actually stopped shooting, went to the store to try to find Wray and Nephew Overproof, and we could not find it. And I tried to find it at a couple other stores that I go to yesterday, and I could not find it. So I was having a little trouble finding it. That's the only reason why, or we would be using it. So if you want to do it, or you have a bottle, you know, I'm gonna have to order it from Bitters and Bottles. Yes, do it right if you wanna, if you can. But the rum fire is good stuff.
Or just try with different rums and see too. Try, see what happens.
I mean, I kind of like to do that too. And not only that, but also when it's, you know, the cocktail specs that I got for this drink were like aged rum, which leaves it open to interpretation. And there's a lot of fun aged rums that you can put in here. You know, I would even try and do it with like rum agricole, or like an aged rum agricole, or like a aged Haitian clarin or something that gives you like a lot of those like vegetal kind of like lemongrassy notes, you know, that you really like that fresh cane juice rum gives you, you know. It's fun to play with rums. One of the best things about rums is that you can play with them.
Fun with rum.
Maybe we should make a video called Fun with Rum. Fun with rum, you bum. There we go. I don't know where my other one went, so I'm gonna use the crosshatch one. Oh dang, she thick. That is beautiful. I'm gonna take a sip, but first, I forgot. Should probably have a garnish, right? It's so nice and yellow and bright and lovely. It needs a garnish. It needs a bright, lovely garnish. Oh, forgot. It's not over there anymore. Moved it over here. Going into my stash. I think this nice bright cocktail deserves a freeze-dried lime wheel garnish. And not to turn this into a commercial or anything, but I love these. They're in our store. Unlike dehydrated, that gives you a kind of more caramelized kind of scent, this gives you a very fresh lime scent. And you can just put it on there for aromatics or whatever, or you can notch it and put it up like that. Maybe I'll notch it this time. Just give it a notch right there and just put it on the side of the glass. Nope.
Can't do that with the...
Broke it. Huh?
Maybe can't do that with the freeze-dried.
This can be done.
Maybe cut a notch.
Well, no, because then it'll be loose. That's the thing. No, it's going to break apart, all right? But if you cut like a notch, like, it's going to be loose.
Like a little slit.
It's actually worked out pretty well. Voila. Oh man, that rum just comes through with all of the Jamaican funk that you want in it. And then you have just a body of pineapple after that. And then after the pineapple, you just have a little dash of citrus balanced out with that sugar. It is nice and tart. It is bright, but I can tell that it's deadly. So there it is, the Wray's Nephew, AKA Wray's Fire. Or is it Fire's Nephew?